the modern world might not exist without coffee. And that's not an exaggeration. Every day, more than 2 billion cups of coffee are consumed around the world. It's one of the most popular drinks in human history. But coffee isn't just a beverage. It's a force that changed economies, transformed cultures, and may have helped fuel some of humanity's greatest innovations. Because before coffee became popular, many people started their mornings with something very different: beer. Not because they wanted to, because it was often safer than water. Then coffee arrived, and suddenly millions of people had access to something the world had never experienced before. A drink that made them more alert, more focused, and more productive. What happened next would change history. To understand coffee's impact, you first have to understand the world before it. For much of history, clean drinking water wasn't guaranteed. Rivers, wells, and public water supplies were often contaminated. Disease spread easily. In many places, people relied on weak alcoholic drinks such as small beer or ale. These beverages contained very little alcohol, but they were often safer to consume than untreated water. This meant that many people spent much of their day slightly less alert than they could have been. Work was slower, focus was limited, mental sharpness wasn't something society actively optimized. Then coffee began spreading beyond its place of origin, and everything started to change. Coffee's story begins in East Africa. According to legend, an Ethiopian goat herder noticed something strange. His goats became unusually energetic after eating berries from a certain plant. Whether the story is true or not, coffee eventually spread through trade routes into the Arab world. People discovered that roasting and brewing the beans produced a unique drink. Unlike alcohol, coffee sharpened the mind. It increased alertness, improved concentration, and helped people stay awake. The effect felt revolutionary. Coffee houses soon appeared throughout cities in the Middle East. Merchants, scholars, and travelers gathered there. Ideas were exchanged. Business deals were made. News traveled rapidly. Coffee wasn't simply a drink anymore. It was becoming a social technology. When coffee arrived in Europe, its impact was explosive. Coffee houses began appearing everywhere. Unlike taverns, people didn't visit coffee houses to become intoxicated. They visited to think, to discuss, to learn. For the price of a single cup, people could spend hours surrounded by conversations about science, politics, philosophy, and business. Some historians later called them penny universities, because for the cost of a penny, a person could gain access to ideas, debates, and information that would otherwise be unavailable. Coffee houses attracted writers, scientists, merchants, inventors, politicians, and something remarkable happened. People from different backgrounds started exchanging ideas in the same space. Knowledge moved faster than ever before, and knowledge changes societies. Many of history's most important discussions happened inside coffee houses. Business ventures began there. Scientific theories were debated there. Political movements organized there. In some cities, coffee houses became unofficial centers of intellectual life. People read newspapers together, discussed discoveries, shared information from around the world. Before the internet, before radio, before television, Coffee houses functioned as information networks. Some historians argue they played an important role during the Enlightenment, a period when science, reason, and intellectual inquiry transformed Europe. The coffee itself wasn't creating new ideas, but it was creating environments where ideas could spread, and sometimes that can be just as important. Then came the Industrial Revolution. Factories expanded, cities grew rapidly, work schedules became longer and more demanding. Workers often spent entire days performing repetitive labor. Fatigue became a serious problem. Coffee offered a solution, a relatively cheap, accessible stimulant that helped people stay awake and focused. Factory workers drank it, office workers drank it, business owners drank it. The modern workday began forming around coffee breaks. For the first time in history, large populations had regular access to a beverage that enhanced alertness and productivity. Some historians have suggested that the shift from alcohol-based daily drinking to caffeine-based drinking helped create a more focused workforce, a workforce capable of sustaining the demands of industrial society. Coffee wasn't the cause of industrialization, but it became one of its fuels. As demand exploded, coffee became a global commodity. Plantations spread across continents. Trade routes expanded. Entire economies became dependent on coffee production. Countries in South America, Africa, and Asia developed massive coffee industries. Ports, shipping networks, and international markets grew around the trade. Coffee became one of the world's most valuable agricultural products. Millions of people depended on it for their livelihoods. What began as a local crop had become a global industry, and the demand never stopped growing. Because once societies adapted to caffeine, there was no going back. The reason coffee became so powerful lies inside the brain. Throughout the day, a chemical called adenosine builds up. This chemical helps create feelings of tiredness. Caffeine blocks adenosine's effects. As a result, people feel more awake, more alert, more focused. Tasks feel easier, attention improves, reaction times often increase. For workers, students, entrepreneurs, and creators, these effects can be incredibly valuable, which is why coffee became integrated into daily life across the planet. It wasn't just enjoyable, it was useful. Today, coffee feels ordinary. It's something people grab on the way to work, something they drink during meetings, something that sits quietly on kitchen counters around the world. But behind every cup is a remarkable history, a history of trade, innovation, ideas, science, business, and human ambition. Coffee didn't invent modern civilization, but it helped power the people who built it, the merchants who created companies, the scientists who shared discoveries, the workers who fueled industrial growth, the thinkers who exchanged ideas inside crowded coffee houses. Coffee didn't just wake people up, it may have helped wake up the modern world itself.